Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library System, and this is Valentine's Day. I started to skip Valentine's Day this today because sometimes it's hard to think of all kinds of different things to do for one particular day, but an idea came to me. I'm going to run with it. We're going to have some fun, we're going to have some freestyle fun. We're going to take a little heart and we're going to make a bangle that you can open and close. It's not a closed bangle. It's going to be an open and closed bangle. And we're going to do some wrapping around the base. So it's going to be kind of fun, I think. And it comes out really pretty. I've already made it. I'm going to show you how to do it and get you started on putting it together. I'm going to say how to make the frame because that's definitely something you need to know how to do. And then we're going to do our little wrapping and we're going to go from there. So you don't need anything special. I'm using a little heart focal bead. And that's one of the reasons I decided to go ahead and do this, because I had this little bead and I thought, well, I can either use it or I can wait another year. And the answer was no to that. So I'm going to be using this little side drilled focal bead that we're going to use as our focal piece for our bracelet. We're going to use some little 4mm red rondelles because it's hearts. What can I say? And we're going to use our usual tools. We're going to have our round nose pliers. The barrels are round all the way around. They taper smaller towards the tip. We're going to use our square nose pliers, which are also tapered toward the tip, slightly rounded on the outside and flat on the inside. Now, remember when you buy these in the store or or online, check for ridges or grips in the center. You don't want those because those will chew up your wire. They'll really mar it badly, and you don't want that. A friend of mine said, makes my wire look like stewed meat. Yeah, the wrong kind. Last but not least, you're going to need a pair of cutters. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but that's it. All you need is the cutters and wire. We're using 2 sizes of wire. We're going to use 18-gauge wire for the frame. I didn't even show you that. Anyway, we're going to use 18-gauge wire for the frame and 22-gauge wire to wrap it. Gave it away. To wrap the piece. So that's what we're making. I may as well just go ahead and show it to you. This is it. Ta-da! That's our little piece that we're going to have, that we're going to make today. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started on it because it's really fun. So what I'm going to do is get down here to the mat and we're going to get going right now. Okay, there's one more thing I forgot to tell you. You need and some kind of cylindrical item, an ink pen, Sharpie, or something like that in order to make your class that we're going to make. So also add that to your list of tools and ruler. So what you're going to need, I can't give you an exact measurement because it depends on your wrist size. What you need to do is give yourself whatever the circumference of your wrist is. So measure your wrist and add 4 to 5 inches. Again, I can't give you the exact amount because I don't know what size the pen or the Sharpie that you're going to use is going to be. I wouldn't use a large Sharpie. I would use just a regular size pen or something like that in order to make your class. Otherwise, it's going to be ungainly and large. So my pen made this, and it took 3.5 inches of wire for this. Actually 3 inches of wire for this. And then I gave myself another 1/2 inch of wire for the loop on the other side that holds my my hook. So that's 3.5 inches. And I added an extra half an inch just for safety's sake. So I would give myself, if I were you, at least 4 inches in addition to your wrist size. In my case, that's 11.5 inches. And I would give myself 5 inches if you 5 more inches if you think that that's not going to be enough, just to be safe, because you can always cut off what you don't use. So I have 11.5 inches here. Make sure. Yes, actually I have 11 inches here, which is enough for me. Because 3.5 inches. So what I'm going to do first is make my zipper toe, my loopy-loop zipper toe. And so what I'm going to do is take my round nose pliers. Here's my camera. So I'm going to go ahead and take my round nose pliers and make a small loop on the tip. Oh, again, those of you who get kits, you're going to have 2 sizes of wire. They're slightly different in size. You're going to have 20 gauge or 18 gauge, which you're going to use for your frame, and 22 gauge that you're going to use for the wrapping around your frame. So it's going to be obvious which one is bigger. So just be careful of that. Plus, the bigger wire that you're using for your frame is going to be about 15 inches long. The other one, you're going to have about 2.5 yards, which is what it took. I think it took me 2 yards to make mine. But I wanted to give you an extra half a yard because it, again, depends on how much wrapping you do around here. So it's all subjective. It's going to depend on how you wrap this. But you are going to use quite a bit of wire here. So your 22 gauge wire is what you're going to use to wrap around your 18 gauge wire frame. Okay. What I would suggest is that when you're doing your wrap, do your wraps around here and don't bunch it up too much. Go all the way around, and then if you have enough wire, more wire at the end, then go back over it again to get it nicely built up and thick. But just so that you don't run out of wire, don't go crazy at the beginning and then run out 2/3 of the way before you get finished. Okay. Just a little preparation. Okay, so I'm going to take my 18 gauge wire and I'm going to make a small loop. So I'm going to grab the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers, just like that. I'm going to make sure none of my wire is sticking out of the back of my pliers. And I'm going to start a little turn there to make a loop. I just need a small loop. So I'm just rotating in small little turns until the tip of my wire touches the long strand of wire here. So now I have a little loop here, and now I'm going to make my shepherd's hook. So in order to do that, I'm going to use my cylindrical item, and I'm going to go down here. It doesn't need to be huge. It just needs. This is more of a design part. This is a really big part of the design. So you want it to be big enough so that it is part of your circle, but it doesn't need to be huge. And it also doesn't need to be too small, which is why I'm not using my pliers instead of my pin. So I'm going to go ahead and right here behind my small loop, I'm going to place my pin, and I'm going to rotate my pliers and bring that long strand around until the loop touches my string, just like that. And pop that off of there, and there's my little shepherd's hook. Okay, now I need to make my little spiral part. So this is what I have so far. And so now I'm going to make my little spiral. So I'm going to go right down here just below my little loop here. And I'm going to put my pin on the long piece of wire. and I'm going to wrap that tail around one time and then a second time. So it's going to be about 1.5 times around. Like so. Actually, what did I do here? 1.5, yes. 1.5 times around. And then I'm going to take it off. And I'm going to just kind of play with it until it looks the way I want it to look. I have a little sharp bend in there that I don't want. So I'm going to go in here with my pliers and I'm going to get that little bend out. And I'm just playing with it until it looks the way I want it. Let me just play with this fingers a little bit. There we go. And this part I need to bend out because that's going to be the beginning of my frame. So I've gone 1.5 times around. Here's the start, all the way around one time, and then a half time. And then now I'm going to take my frame, the long part, and I'm going to straighten that out like so. So that's what I have. And then this is going to wrap around to make my frame. Oh, I forgot to tell you another thing that you need. You also need some kind of a jar or a bottle or something like that in order to make the frame for your arms, for your wrist. Now, I only have this little bottle down here, which is fine. It's too small for my wrist, but I'm just using this to get a circle started, and then I can adjust it later. So I'm going to take this little bottle, and I'm going to wrap my wire around it. Now, the wire, you're laying this part flat and wrapping it that way. You're not wrapping it this way. You're wrapping it to the side. So just be cognizant of that. Just wrap that around. I'm just getting a circle started. And I know this is too small, but I can adjust it later. And I just want to get the circle started because I still have to do my wrapping around. So I'm not closing anything up. I'm just getting my shape. So wrap that around, got my circle. Then I can open it out. And just keep adjusting it. And I have people say my bangles, bracelets and bangles are shaped differently. Bangles are usually round because there's supposed to be a lot of movement in there. Bracelets are usually the shape of your wrist, which is oval, not round. If you want your bracelet to fit a little bit more closely against your wrist, you want to make it the shape of your wrist, which is not round, it's oval. So take that into consideration when you're doing your shaping. All right, here we go. Yeah. So there we got it started. So now what I'm going to do is put my little heart on. Just slide that on there. And now I'm going to make a loop that this is going to fit into. So this is going to fit into a loop that's going this way. It's going right and left of my wire. So here's my wire going up and down. My loop is going to go side to side so that my wire will fit into it. So I'm going to grab my round nose pliers again. And I'm going to go all the way back to the back of my pliers, all the way back to the back so I can have a nice big loop. And again, I put my wire right in between the little jaws of my pliers and move that out of the way so you can see. Make sure nothing's sticking out the back. It's just stuck right in between. And I'm going to make a loop. Just rotate, small turns until the tip touches the long strand of wire. There we go. Got my loop. And now this is going to fit like this. Easy peasy. Or lemon squeezy, whatever you want to use. Here's my little frame. Yay! So now what do? Now we do the wrapping around the frame. Now, while you're doing this wrapping, this is going to start to open up, which is fine because you've got your shape. You don't have to worry about that because you're going to go ahead and rewrap it after you do. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on the wrapping. Now, the wrapping part, you're going to need a lot of wire. So you're gonna have about 2.5 inches of wire. I would keep it intact. If you want to do it in pieces, you can, but that means you're going to have to start over down at different parts of your wire. I would rather keep the whole piece of wire intact. I'm just using about 1 foot here so I can get started. But I would keep the whole thing intact and just wrap it like this. So the thing that you want to do is give yourself about 1 inch to 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch to 1 inch. I'd give myself 1 inch just because you can use that to wrap back the other way. But just so you have something to hold on to, you're going to need something to grip just to get started. So I like to put a bend in my wire like that, just so I have something to hook over my frame. And I can hold on to that while I start my wrap. That's going to be the most fidgety part, because you're going to have to hold on to that and start your wrapping. I've got my little beads flopping around. I've got the wire flopping around. So hold on to that and start my wrap. And it doesn't have to be right against the bead. We can shift it over a little bit after we get it started. So I'm going to give myself a nice wrap around there. Squeeze it with my pliers a little bit, not too much because I want to push it back again. The bead here. There we go. Let's get another wrap in there. This is going to be the most challenging part because you're going to have this really long piece of wire. And again, hold on to your little tail. Slide it right here in between your openings. Wrap that around. Keep it nice and close. Okay. Another wrap. And now I'm going to push it back against my bead. You see how I have a little space in there? Take your square pliers and squeeze that. Get rid of that little space. Scoot that over, back against your bead. And now squeeze it nice and tight against your wire. I'm still going to shift a little bit, which is fine. But I've got it started. And I'm still holding on to this little guy, but I can now also hold on to my bead while I wrap. And I wouldn't try to do it way out here. Don't try to do that. Stay nice and close in. So if you have some control, and wrap that around. Right there to be open. Wrap. Like that. And right there to open. Nice. And just keep doing that. And I'm squeezing this together. I don't really have to because this is supposed to be very kind of chaotic and very freeform. So it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it really shouldn't be perfect. Wrap or two. And now, because I want it to be built up, what I'm going to do is go back over that part that I've already wrapped. Give it a little more interest. I'm just building it up a little bit. And this is why I said there's no way to give you an exact measurement of wire because it depends on how much you build it up. Again, keep wrapping. Just keep on going. And this is all that's left, really. Well, not really, because I'm going to introduce a bead. I started to do just wrap the wire around, and then I thought, well, let's give it a little color. Oh, now I'm going to go ahead and push this little end down, because now I have this wrapped part that I can hold on to. Let me show you another little trick too. Let's push this end down against the wire. Don't want that little tip sticking up. Otherwise, you're going to be very uncomfortable every time it scratches you. Get it down nice and snug. Good. Now I can hold on to this while I wrap. Okay, so I'm going to keep on wrapping. And at some point, I'm going to introduce a nice little bead. And again, don't try to be neat. This is supposed to be a coiled chaos wrap. That's what I call it. Okay, so now that I'm far enough away, I want to start. You can put your beads anywhere on this if you want. You can put them right near your little heart. You can put them away from your heart. It's up to you. So let's grab one of my little beads, my little red bead, and I'm going to feed that on. Now, here's the other thing. You could put the beads right on the frame. It depends on the size of the holes of your bead. This is 18 gauge wire, and the little drilled parts of this bead may not fit on 18 gauge. So instead, I decided to slide them on the 22 gauge wire and then wrap them on. So just put that on the wire and wrap it. All right. Wrap it in place. Just like that. And in order to not have this little wire showing here, I go back over it and wrap on the other side, just for the fun of it. Yeah. And just keep on wrapping. Run the wire because we're going to about 10, what was it, 10 inches? 10, 12, 12 inches maybe. Just so I could get you started. And this is how I'm going to continue. Add another bead on when you're ready and do it just the way I did the first one. Now, if you would prefer to do little pieces, I really, really wouldn't suggest that because you would have to start over with another piece of wire that you hold onto while you wrap. Just keep it all intact. It's much easier. You're going to have to deal with the wire that you're going to have to feed through here because it's a nice long piece, but it won't kill you. And eventually you'll get down to the place where it's easier to work with because it's shorter. But until then, I think you're better off keeping that wire intact. Now, you're going to continue to do this until you completely fill up your wire. And then once you've filled your wire, you're going to reshape this. So you're going to introduce your bottle again, and you're going to just build up your shape again. Just going to rewrap it until it's round again. And that's it. When you're finished, you're going to have this little guy. This is going to have. I'm going to put it on. And it's so easy to fasten because there's this super, super huge little zipper system here. There it is. Neat, huh? And you can turn it either way because this is still going to be rolly. You can still roll it around any direction that you want it to be, like a little fidget bracelet. Isn't that neat? So cute. A friend of mine said, "Can we make more of these little hooks like this?" You can. You can make it on anything you want, but it's really a part of the focus. So I really, really like this book. And I couldn't figure out what I was going to do with these. And then I thought, oh my goodness, little Valentine's Day bracelet. Yeah, isn't that cute? That's it, ladies and gents. That is our piece for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, I should leave it on. It really is adorable. Okay, that's our piece for today. I just wanted to do something for Valentine's Day. Really, I almost skipped it. Then I just couldn't, I didn't have the heart to do it. I know that's corny. So there it is. There is our little Valentine's Day heart bracelet with our little beautiful little 4 millimeter rondelles wrapped onto the bracelet. That's what we have today. Isn't that cute? I am so glad I didn't skip it. I'm sorry it's right on Valentine's Day, but this was not planned, and I just threw it in there at the last minute. So I hope you enjoyed this. And please let me know if you did. And please let me see what you do, because I would love to see your versions of this, because this is just really good practice. That's it. If you would like to get in touch with me, my email is jewelrygin20@gmail.com. That's JEWELRYGIN20@gmail.com. You can leave comments and pictures. Please leave me some pictures on the library Facebook page. That's facebook.com. Can't see. Facebook.com/DeKalb Library. That's Facebook.com/DeKalbLibrary. And you can also leave comments on the library YouTube page. That's youtube.com/DeKalb Library. Now, all of these tutorials come to you free through the DeKalb County Library System. They're always free. They'll always be on YouTube. So I hope you take advantage of it. We really enjoy bringing you these programs, and we hope that you can appreciate it and really do like it. And I would love to hear your comments and your feedback, good and bad, because both help me improve or know what I'm doing right or know what I'm doing. Either way, I would love to hear from you. And tell me where you are. Tell me where you're from. If you're from Decatur, Georgia, which is where I'm coming from, and that's where our libraries are. And I hope that you'll come and see it and visit the library. We're celebrating our 100th anniversary, and we would love, love, love to see you. Anyway, get in contact with me one way or the other and let me know what you think, what you thought about this tutorial, about the other tutorials. And until next time, have a great week, have a great weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.